Hey folks, well, I tested this knife. I'll give me honest opinion on it. Only thing I could find that I didn't like was that grind. Now I've reground that myself, so that works great now. It works like my other knife. You get a nice good bite on it. So Charade, if you're watching, I would do a different grind on that. I don't suppose you are watching, but that's the biggest problem. If somebody's new coming into carving, that probably could be a bit of a problem for it. I mean, it were alright for taking stuff off, but if you're doing bites like chip carving or this sort of stuff, whittling, then that really needs to be that sort of shape, like the normal carving knife. Like that, instead of that silly little bevel what you put on it. But that's the only negative. As a start-out knife, I would say it's a great knife. I've enjoyed using it, and I've done a couple of carvings I'll show you in a sec. That's about the only thing I could say that I haven't liked it, and it was nothing I couldn't alter myself. Sharpness, it weren't bad for sharpness out of the box, but anybody who's going to do any whittling or carving is going to have to be able to sharpen anyway, so you've got to learn to sharpen in that respect. What I ended up doing is I did a spoon, which I just charcoaled that with, well, you could do it over the fire, but I did it with blowtorch because it makes it stronger and harder. I haven't put any oil or anything on it. If I were to use it, I'd have to put some sort of food safe oil on it anyway. I might put some oil on it, but if I just wet it up a bit, you can see it brings all, excuse me, my tongue, but it's my spoon. But you can see it brings it all out. But yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is I used nearly all the tools on that. Only thing I didn't use were straight chisel. So, but this, you have to use it to cut inside. Now, because I've never done a spoon before, as I watched a guy do a spoon after, I was struggling trying to get hold of it, sort of to do some cuts. And I saw a guy do a spoon and he leaves it longer so he can hold it from here and from here. I would say steel's pretty darn good, because I was also using this knife to smooth like that, not cutting but to smooth. And there were no curling on it or all like that, and I put it back on strop and it were back up to super sharp. So steel's very good on it. So nothing I can say negative really apart from that grind. And another thing, it will never replace all my other tools, but that's something I could put in my pocket and take around, or somebody, you know, campfire job for kids or whatever. It's a good little knife, so I would recommend it. The locking thing with strop, yeah, that bothered me a little bit, but I found if I put my thumb on it, it don't fold up. So it's not something that I can say is a real problem, so it can be cured. But I did that spoon, as I said, because it had all other tools on it, and then I did this little guy, which, I don't know, little guy in a shop coat. I didn't put him any fingers on because this is pine and it splits off and there would have been fingers on the floor. Is, of course, not mine. And just on the end of this, I had a couple of questions from Dave Dawson and Nigel about sharpening. So I've done a little clip on the end of that as well. And don't forget, if you do like this, stick a thumbs up and share it. If I ever get to 1,500 subscriptions, I'll be giving another one of these little carvings away. So share it and tell your friends. It's nice to be nice. So guys, on that last video, on this the first video with this knife, yeah, I had a couple of questions, one from Nigel Muddy Boots and one from Dave Dawson about some sharpening stuff. Nigel, on gouge, yeah, on round gouge. These are not bad to sharpen. These are easier than a V, but it's same, works out same every time basically. I don't want to go mad on this because it is pretty sharp, but I'll just give you a quick example. I use oil on this stone. That's one from UK. I've got several stones, but I use oil on mine. You can use water, but if you've used oil, you can't go back to water. So use one or other. I use oil because I ain't got water in here, and I can always carry a bit of oil. And all you're doing is you're finding. I don't know whether I can do that. Dogs are going nuts. They like the postman. Can't eat a full one though. And what you've got to do is find that bevel, and you can only go that way with it. Yeah, that's not rough. And you've got to keep it on that bevel. Well, providing your bevel's right. Yeah, and that's good bevel on that. And you're just trying to keep it in that same position and rocking it sideways. And then obviously you go to a lighter stone, depending on how bad the chisel is. And working edge, because when this were originally ground, it was ground on a round. See, but working edge is looking alright. And then with these chisels, I'm going to strop it. This is stropping compound I use. This is just polishing compound. You can get it. It comes in different colours. I've got white and blue. White's a little bit finer, but blue is fine for this. And again, now I can strop it, but now you're stropping it back. And you want to cover all angles. Again, keeping it in the same position. I mean, obviously this is just a polishing compound, so you're not taking a lot of steel off. You can also do the same sort of technique, but I find it better like this, and rock it. And that's how I do my chisels. And then you've got this inside edge, which I've got a little bit of a burn out there, which you could do with some 1000 grit. Or more, a really high grit emery paper, because it's a funny shape. And I've seen also people use, say, something like that. That's just a piece of tube, and it's about the same radius. It is the same radius, in fact. So what I would do then, if I can find it, I had a piece of leather somewhere. Am I going mad in my old age? No, it's here on the floor. You can then do this. This is a piece of leather off an old sofa. Now, I've seen other videos and people say, you've got to have the thickest leather, you don't have to have the thickest leather. You can do it on a piece of wood. You can put this on a piece of wooden strop, so it's not... and you can also strop with art just on leather, but again, then I'll be taking that burr off at back edge like that. Or again, stuff about. You could do it with your finger, you know, as long as you're going backwards, not forwards. Finger under there. And all I'm trying to do is get any burr off that back edge and get a little bit of a polish. And then so I'll give it a go, see what it's like. Well, cross grain or a long grain. You get a nice clean cut. That's ideal with polishing edge, yeah? You want a polished edge on this on a tool like this, because it's got to cut through fibres smoothly. It leaves you a nicer finish. Now, Dave Dawson, you were asking me about that filleting knife. Now, this is not a filleting knife, obviously, but it's the same principle. Wherever your bevel is on it, you've got to find your bevel. And with this sort of knife, you're trying to cut it, and if it's curved like that, you've got to follow it curve, yeah? But you're trying to cut, it's like you're trying to slice the stone. And then, because of that curve, I have to bring it up. And this is just on fine, because it's not it's not blunt, this. But you're basically cutting stone, but keeping that bevel, your front bevel on, yeah? Now, if I were filleting fish, I wouldn't strop it. And the reason being is, although that's quite fine, I don't know what it is exactly, that what the number is on that, but now I've got a slightly serrated edge on that, so if you're using it for fish filleting, your serrated edge is going to cut better than a stropped edge on fish, on like the skin, because it's quite tough. So, but I strop this because I don't use it for filleting fish, and again, same principle with that. But this time I'm going backwards. I'm not trying to cut the stone. I'm trying to polish it about polish blade. Can't get my words out. And stropping, I usually do about 20 strokes. And then if it needs another strop up, it don't go to stone very often. That it just needs a strop every so often, depending on how much I use it and what I use it for, obviously. But yeah, for your filleting knife, say you're cutting stone, just a stone like that will do you for your filleting knife, or like that. And it will leave a slightly serrated edge, which will work better if you're filleting fish, I guarantee it. So I hope that helped.